and we are joined by the Southland District Mayor, who's right in the middle of this, Rob Scott, and he joins us now. Rob, thank you for joining us. I appreciate your time this morning.
Yeah, no worries. How are you, Michael?
I'm very well. Rob, first things first. You've been sworn in as mayor, I guess, what, last week, were you?
Yesterday.
Ah, God. So, did you find that problematic in dealing with how you're responding as a council to the crisis that enveloped you last Wednesday, Thursday?
Not really. I mean, it's just a piece of paper at the end of the day. I mean, I've been re-elected as mayor, so the
Right, so you're already
expectation
mayor.
from yeah. So it's
Yep.
kind of it was just almost business as usual, with the exception of the piece of paper to say I can legally do do the job. But
Okay.
um,
So the storm that went through your bailiwick, can you just give us some idea of where it had its greatest impact, please? What were the areas, or was it right across the district?
it was right across the whole district. I've never seen anything like it, and we had an orange wind warning come through, and we get those all the time, particularly at this time of the year. So it was
Yep.
kind of like, oh yeah, just another orange, and it upgraded to red relatively quickly, and then it hit with such force, and it took out the whole region in a very short amount of time. It wasn't a long storm; it was just short and sharp with one hell of a punch. I
Did
was
the
talking to
warnings,
sorry.
the late warnings of the red? In fact, my wife was at a funeral in Gore, and in the midst of the
Yeah.
funeral and after the worst of all the phones of everybody in the funeral went off. I mean, which was useful because it went
Yeah.
off after the event had occurred. Was that what you found in Southland as well?
Yeah, pretty much the case. Yeah, we were. I was in a building in Invercargill, which is quite sheltered by other buildings in a modern building, and yeah, the building shook. It was quite daunting actually, with the ferocity of the storm. And I know a few people that were driving to that funeral as well, and they actually got turned back. They were down by Woodlands, and there were trucks overturned, and yeah, so it was quite intense and without much notice too.
The damage I saw yesterday, and remember, I'm only on the periphery, so I'm at Milton.
Yeah.
That was pretty. I mean, it was shocking to me. And this is what almost a week after the event. But I can't imagine what it's like with all the trees that are down. Many of them were being shelter belts, obviously, and farms and the like. But then you would
Yeah.
have had those in town as well, just for ornamental purposes. What? I guess the question I have is the trees that went down. They are still down now, are they? I mean, nobody's chopping them
Yeah.
up. They are all over the show.
The the cleanup's starting and people are starting to tidy things up. But yeah, it's and you would have noticed it in Milton by the sounds of it, like a whole shout about just basically tipped up. And it looks like a stop back now because you can just see all the dirt and the roots and everything sort of sitting up. But it changes your whole landscape as you're driving around, and it just really goes to show the intensity of what actually happened. And of course, a lot of those trees going down have taken out power lines and the likes as well. So it's been quite a mess.
So, do you still have people without power in your neck of the woods?
Yep. So we've got about 3,500 people without power still.
Wow.
About sort of 150 dairy farms still without power. So that's coming. We're coming to a week now. So it's got quite a long tail.
Now, that has significant and serious implications if you can't milk cows. We all know that. I
Yeah.
assume those dairy farms are now operating on provided generators, are they?
Yeah, yeah. So the generators have been a real blessing, but it's been a bit of a challenge because they've been sharing them around. And I mean, you'll know how long it takes to do a milking, and then you've got to unplug it because I mean they're big generators as well. We're talking 100 kVA generators to run a shed, so you're having to wire it in and then go and take it to your neighbour, and then they're borrowing it, and then you're sort of just circulating them around, which means that the likes of the stock water, because obviously the pumps and everything to get water to the stock have been an issue as well because you don't have power all the time onto those sheds. So it's been a real challenge for the farmers. They've done really well, and a lot of the sparkies that have been travelling around hardwiring these things in and then unwiring them and then going and doing it again. So the whole community's kind of had to rally together to support the neighbours and get everything running as well as it can.
One of my councillors, one of my mates actually, said that he put his generator on a truck, I think, and drove it from Cromwell to down to you. I assume that it's the private intervention of that sort of farmers and allied rural and tradesfolk that are making the show work. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. And also like quite cool stories like the still shop in Winton. They ran out of generators quite quickly, and so they got on the phone and ordered some more. And as soon as that latest stock arrived on the Friday, they ran out of that as well. So they were trying to rally up some more to get in before the weekend, and with it being a long weekend, because their supplier was in Nelson and they couldn't get anything organised, so they jumped in the ute with a trailer and drove to Nelson and back with a whole supply of generators to go out and serve the community. So that's the kind of spirit that we have here in Southland, where everyone just sees a problem, they see a solution, and then they roll their sleeves up and make it work. And
Now,
that's been
here's the
quite cool.
issue.
There's
Well, there's
stories
there's
all over
two
the tracks.
issues that raised from that. The first is, should there have been a warning that this event was on its way prior to it being, and as I said, it was ridiculous that my wife got it after she'd gone through that storm. So, is the Met Service up to its basic role and task of doing that? And the second issue is around civil defence. I think it's predictable that you would have electricity or an event that would knock down electricity poles. We've seen that, for example, in Cyclone Gabriel in Hawke's Bay and Tairāwhiti.
Yeah,
So a weather event does knock out communications and electricity. It's sort of
yeah.
like the first thing that goes because they're so exposed to the weather. Um, is civil defence really ready in these cases for these emergencies? It appears not.
Yeah, I think we've got to sit down at the end of this and have a really good look. To be prepared for an entire region to sort of go out so quickly, I think we definitely weren't ready for that. But we've been talking about AF8 for a long time as well. I mean, this is kind of the equivalent
Yeah,
without the
yeah.
damage to the roads and the property. And thankfully, there hasn't been any lives lost in this with the ferocity of it. But I do think we need to have a really good debrief and have a look at the lessons out of this for. And taking on board Gabrielle, and we've had enough events up and down the country over the last few years that we need to actually implement some of the lessons out of it and get some changes in how we operate because
How do you
I
run
think there's a
civil defence?
personal.
Is that run through your regional council? Is it the Southland Regional Council? They're responsible.
Yeah, so we've got Emergency Management Southland. It's based at the regional council and all four councils basically work in through there. But one of the challenges with Southland, so that's based in Invercargill, but our district for Southland district, it's 30,000 square kilometres, so it's quite a big space. And having the communities disconnected from comms has been a real challenge in this one. When you've got no power, the cell phone towers went down pretty quick, which is another thing that we need to kind of look at the resilience of those towers. Some of them were down within 1 to 2 hours from the power cut, so people suddenly find themselves unable to have communication. So that's one of the other lessons in all of this. And I guess that personal resilience, where we talk about everyone being able to be prepared for at least 48 hours without power and communication, and then when it hits, you suddenly realise how unprepared you actually are. So it's yeah, there's a lot of lessons all the way around.
Yeah, no question. Listen, the other thing is I'm interested in the idea of some sort of regional approach. You're actually trying at the moment, I think, to go to the local government commission as a council and get some much more formal way in which you can align politically and organisationally in your region, aren't you? By
Yeah.
suggesting a merger with, is it Gore?
Yeah, so it's basically creating a unitary authority or two unitary authorities for Southland because we've got the city in here as well.
So you get rid of the regional
And
council,
this
that's a good idea, yeah. And then you
yeah.
merge with Gore and be a unitary
Yeah.
authority there. Is that right?